Hello, Joy Warriors. So, what I'd love to talk to you about today is how do we find what's sacred for us? I kind of found about what is sacred for me by what wasn't sacred or what felt uncomfortable and awkward. So, when I first started doing prayers and meditation, I felt like all of a sudden I felt so awkward and uncomfortable with myself and just all the parts of myself that I was so critical of and didn't think was lovable, and I didn't believe that I could have any sort of religion or divine relationship or any connection to anything. The word sacred just seemed like a word I didn't even completely understand. And so, ironically, I found what's sacred through my self-criticism, my anger, my resentments, my how hard I was on myself. Because on the other side of those really heavy and uncomfortable emotions was actually this need for love and joy and connection and the capacity for me to look at a mountain or the ocean or a sunset or look at another person and feel what's special and amazing about this world. And really helped me open up my eyes to sort of almost a Native American perspective of a spiritual path of where you really are looking at life force in each thing, person, place, and thing that's around you. And for some people, this will be organized religion, and other people, it will be some sort of nature. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you find what's sacred for you. And then a lot of times how we find that is we asking ourselves, where is there sort of anger and uncomfortable feeling that we don't feel comfortable with? And where is there judgment? Because on the other side of that, usually we've already made some sort of determination of a defense mechanism that has worked for us and has kept us stuck in that judgment or that anger, and has kept us from something that maybe is really enjoyable or sacred or important to us or gives our life meaning. So where I was being the most critical and where were the places where I needed to work through and find where my light was. So I felt like a big chunk of my life I was very unlovable, and I wasn't smart enough, and I wasn't pretty enough, and just all nothing was enough. And what was interesting is asking myself where this anger and where this judgment was coming from, as if I was a third person. It really helped sort of open up the space to release that and find out underneath that, like, I did really believe I was connected to something bigger. And when I could look at a sunset, or when I could look at what was really important to me underneath the anger or the judgment or the self-judgment, I did have a sense of what was sacred and real and what had value to me and what had meaning and where love and connection was. And it was really all based in love and connection and values of what's respectful to myself and to others, but I didn't think I had any of that. But it took looking at and holding nice space for that for myself, for me. So I needed to work through it and find my light, where my light was. So in my meditations, I really looked at where these obstacles were, because underneath all of that, there was this joy and this lesson, and there's always joy and a lesson underneath everything. I think that's kind of what we're here to do as humans, is we sort of help each other figure out what are these lessons that our soul needs to learn, so we can feel like we're following the inscription of our heart of what we're here to do. And then when we do that, that feels sacred, that feels alive. But usually what's keeping us from listening to the inscription of our heart of what we're here to do is these obstacles of anger, fear, and self-judgment and self-criticism. And it doesn't seem like you would go to those things to find what's sacred. But usually, once you clear them, once you look at what you're angry about, what you're critical about, underneath it is what's really important to you, and where and why you want to fight for what's sacred. So, what is your obstacles today that keep you from finding what's sacred in your life? Let me know some examples. Maybe you found some other way of finding what's sacred and real and important to you in new and unique ways. Send me your stories, your questions, and let's figure out what's sacred today, and let's savor life and look at life like it is this magical journey that it is. So go fight for your joy and be sacred.